In this problem, we're actually going to work a payroll problem here. It'll probably illustrate a lot of what's going on with payroll. So let's do that. Now here's my payroll register as we've looked at a little bit before, and here's the problem data itself. I've got some employees. This information here, the statuses and allowances, this comes from a W-4 form. You might have filled one of these out when you started working somewhere where you said your marital status. I've got here my statuses and allowances. This comes from a W-4, which if you've ever started working somewhere, your employer probably had you fill out one of these forms so that they could get this information. Are you married? And how many allowances you have? And then this cumulative earnings before payroll, this is how much I made previous to this this payroll week that we're doing here. This is what I made before this period. Then I've got how much hours each employee worked and their pay rate as well. How much does this employee make per hour? So let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to put this on the payroll register. Smith. I'm just going to copy over their information. And also, you might want to consider at this point using an actual spreadsheet. You might have paper, but you might consider doing this in a computer because it can save you quite a bit of time, as you'll see later on, to do this in, say, an Excel or another spreadsheet. And here I'm going to abbreviate just a little bit. Let me center these columns, or center this information here. Single. So there's the employee, there's their allowances, and then I'm going to copy this other column. This is previous earnings. How much have I made yet so far in this payroll before I do this next week? So here we go. There's all that information. Then I've got my total hours, and this is a good illustration of the benefits of having a spreadsheet. I'm just going to come over here to the side so I have some scratch space, and I'll copy these hours here. If you're doing this in a spreadsheet, you'll want to do this along. And then I'm going to do the math. Here's my calculator. For this first one, for the first employee, I've got 12 plus 8 plus 3 plus 9 plus 9, 41. And here I can do the same thing in the spreadsheet. And I'm putting in my formula equals and then sum and then an open bracket. And then I'll select all that information there and it comes up with the same. To the next row there, 42. And then for this one, I don't even have to put in the formula. I can copy that formula and put it there on the next aisle. And then I'll just do those last two rows the same way. Now I'm going to copy this information into this total hours column. Let me get it so hopefully you can see a little bit better there. There, total I have to get. It's a long stretch from here to there. Total hours. Almost. I'll just delete this information and that'll make it easier. No, not quite that much. There. Delete that information there. Up. No, it's not quite that easy. I'll do it this way. I'm transferring information here. Okay, now I can copy this information more easily. 41, 42, 47, and 36. I've got my total hours. And for this next section, I've got current earnings. How much is my gross earnings? And I've got regular, and I've got overtime. And it says this on this problem, and many people know. Overtime is paid at time and a half over 40 hours a week. So let me see here. My regular, so first of all, my regular rate is based on this problem here, hourly rate. copy this information here. For the first employee, it's 15, and then 11, 23, and then 9. For this hours column, I'm going to put the regular hours they worked. For this first employee, he worked 40 hours of regular hours, and then overtime, he worked 1 additional hour of overtime. So for the second employee, 40 hours there, and then 1 hour at an overtime rate. For this next employee, 40 hours regular pay, and then 7 hours over 40. And this employee worked 36 hours and no overtime hours because he didn't go over 40 hours a week. And then for the pay rate, I'm just going to do some multiplication here. 40 times 15, 600. This one I'll do the formula versions, 40, so I'm going to multiply that cell times that cell. And then for this next row here, 40 times 11, it's 440. And then I can just copy this formula on down. And I shouldn't, as long as it's actually a formula there. That times that. Take that, copy it on down. And there I am. I have my regular pay there. Now, this only has the hourly pay rate. It doesn't have the overtime pay rate. So to get that, I'm going to multiply this times 1.5. So 15 times 1.5, because that's what time and a half is. It's going to be 22.5. And Excel is rounding for me, and I don't want it to. All right, for this one here, it's, yes, I just typed that in there, but I could do this one as a formula as well. I could go 15 times 1.5, and the same for the next one here. 40 times 11 is 440. Or nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do 11 times 1.5 is 16.5, and I can do the same thing here. That times 1.5 equals, well, the rounded version is 17. The actual version is 16.5, and I can do the same thing for those last two columns, and I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to copy the formula on down. And then I can get the amount the same way I did the previous one. That times that. 22.5, not surprising. 22.5 times 1 is 22.5. And then here's the next one. 16.5 times 2 is 33. I can copy the formula there. And then 7 times 34.5, 241.5. That was quite a bit of overtime there. And this last one, of course, doesn't get any because he didn't work any overtime hours. So now I have my regular pay and my overtime pay. And now to get gross pay, I just need to add the amounts of those two together. So for this first one, I'm just going to add 600 plus 2250. And plus 2250. There is 622.50. I can do that one there in my head. This next one, I've got 440 plus 33 is 473. Okay, it's doing something strange here with my formula. Make sure I've got everything correct. That's what I added the rate instead of the other thing. So make sure I've actually got my formulas correct. There, now that's correct. And that one's correct as well, 473. For this next one here, I've got 920 plus 241.50, 1161.50. I don't have quite enough space to write that there, 1161.50. Yep, that's correct. Make sure I've got everything correct before here. Yep, it's all correct. And then last but not least, this one here, since there's no overtime, the math is really easy. It's 324. So now I have my current earnings completely done. And the only thing left that I need to do is this current earnings year to date. So for this one, I'm just going to add previous earnings year to date to gross earnings. So let me do this first one. It's going to be 74 plus 622 equals this number here. And over here, I'm just going to use the spreadsheet, that plus that. For the next one here, we'll do the calculator. 56,200 plus 473. 56,673, and on down. All right. So now I have the first section of my hourly employee payroll register done, and I should also put the name of the company on here as well. So the yacht makers or yacht trips incorporated. Yacht trips incorporated. And I'm just adding that on now, and the date is going to be March 24, 2000, and so forth. So now I have the first part of my payroll register complete. In the next video, I'm going to do this second section.